You are told that in the digital court of public opinion, silence is an admission of guilt, that when the anonymous mob descends or the blue-check assassin launches their attack, you must engage. Your every instinct, conditioned by a world that values debate, screams to set the record straight, to publish the receipts, to dismantle their lies point by point. You believe this is how you control the narrative. This belief is the most dangerous trap of the modern age. It is a strategic error from which you cannot recover. The war for your digital identity is not won in the comment section. It is lost there. The moment you type a reply, the moment you craft that perfect logical rebuttal, you have handed your power to your accuser. You validate their attack as worthy of a response. You confirm that their platform is the arena, and you are just another gladiator, bleeding for the algorithm's amusement. You are no longer the architect of your persona. You have become noise in their broadcast. True digital power is not about winning the argument. It is about making the argument irrelevant. It is about forging a presence so sovereign that the attacks of lesser players only serve to illuminate your status, turning their venom into your victory. Understand the fundamental architecture of digital power. There are only two territories that exist: the citadel and the battlefield. The citadel is your sovereign domain. It is your timeline, your body of work, your curated signal broadcast to the world. Every piece of content you create, every project you launch, every idea you articulate is another stone in its walls. It is an asset you build, a fortress of value that projects authority and permanence. The battlefield is everything else. It is the infinite scroll of mentions, the chaotic swamp of the comment section, the fleeting outrage of the quote tweet. It is a territory you do not own, governed by an algorithm you do not control. It is a liability, designed to drain your energy and commodify your reaction. The core problem, the single error that dismantles digital empires before they are even built, is the belief that you must defend your citadel on their battlefield. The moment an attack is launched, your instinct is to rush out of the gates and meet the enemy where they stand. You believe you are sallying forth to prove your strength. In reality, you are abandoning your fortress. By engaging the troll in the comments, by debating the critic in their mentions, you have accepted their frame. You have traded your status as the architect of a citadel for the role of a gladiator on the battlefield. You are now fighting on their terms, using their weapons, in an arena designed for their benefit. Your reasoned arguments become mere content for their engagement metrics. Your righteous anger becomes fuel for their algorithm. You have left a fortress of stone to fight a war in the mud, and in the mud, everyone looks the same. The war for your digital self is not a war of demolition, where you tear down the arguments of others. It is a war of construction, where you build a presence so formidable that the attacks of others become irrelevant noise outside its walls. This instinct to abandon your fortress, to trade stone for mud, is not a failure of logic. It is a failure of sovereignty. It is a psychological defect, a dependency rooted in an ego that has been trained to seek its reflection in the eyes of the mob. To diagnose this weakness is to begin the process of correcting it. The first symptom is the compulsion to correct. An attacker misstates a date, misquotes a sentence, gets a minor detail wrong. And your mind latches onto this error with furious clarity. You see it as their weak point, the flaw in their argument you can surgically dismantle. You craft the reply, laying out the timeline, correcting the fact, believing this precision makes you look intelligent and truthful. You think you are demonstrating rigor. In reality, you are demonstrating that your entire frame can be shaken by a triviality. You have announced to the world that an anonymous stranger's inaccuracy is a significant enough event to command your time and attention. The architect of the citadel has just demoted himself to janitor, rushing out to clean up a tiny piece of graffiti, while the enemy watches with amusement. By correcting their detail, you have validated their overall narrative. You have implicitly agreed that the topic they raised is the one worth discussing. You have lost before you typed a single word. The second, more insidious symptom is the performance of good faith. You encounter an attack that is illogical, emotional, and clearly designed to provoke, and you respond with a display of superior reason. You appeal to logic, to evidence, to the principles of fair debate. You believe you are taking the high road. You believe the audience will see your calm rationality and contrast it with their hysteria. This is a profound misunderstanding of the environment. The battlefield is not a university debating hall. It is a gladiatorial arena where the currency is not truth, but stimulation. Your well-reasoned argument is not perceived as a display of intelligence. It is perceived as content. Your calm tone is not seen as mature. It is seen as a new, interesting texture in the ongoing drama. The algorithm does not reward truth. It rewards engagement. And nothing is more engaging than the sight of a good man patiently trying to reason with a barbarian. You are not winning them over with logic. You are providing the perfect straight man for their chaotic theater, and in doing so, you make their broadcast more compelling. The third symptom is the most revealing: the fallacy of the receipts. In a moment of supreme crisis, when the accusations reach a fever pitch, you believe the path to exoneration is through total transparency. You will release the emails. You will publish the screenshots of the text messages. You will deliver the definitive evidence-backed timeline that exposes their lies and vindicates your truth. This act feels powerful, righteous, final. It is, in fact, the moment of your complete surrender. By publishing the receipts, you confess that the accusation holds enough weight to warrant a forensic defense. You confirm that the mob is a legitimate jury deserving of your evidence. You trade your status as sovereign for the status of defendant. More critically, you are giving the battlefield exactly what it was designed to consume: more drama, more data, more fuel for the fire. Your meticulously organized evidence is not viewed as a legal document. It is chopped up, recontextualized, and weaponized against you. Every line you share becomes a new front in the war. Every screenshot becomes a new exhibit for them to misinterpret. You thought you were giving them a conclusion. Instead, you gave them an entire new season of the show. You have taken the private, intimate details of your life and offered them up as a sacrifice to the algorithm, hoping it will grant you mercy. It will not. It will only grant you more engagement at the cost of your dignity. These three behaviors, the compulsion to correct, the performance of good faith, and the fallacy of the receipts, are not separate tactical errors. They are all symptoms of one core psychological disease, an externalized locus of self. Your sense of identity, your measure of worth, is not forged inside your citadel. It is outsourced to the battlefield. You have been conditioned to believe that your value is determined by the consensus of the scroll, the verdict of the trending tab. An unverified accusation from a pseudonymous account with a cartoon avatar feels like a genuine threat to your being because, on a fundamental level, you have granted it the power to be one. Your ego is not a fortress. It is a beggar, roaming the battlefield asking for validation from its sworn enemies. This is the fear that drives you out of the gates, the fear of the void, the fear that if you remain silent, their narrative will be the only one that exists. You feel an urgent need to fill that silence with your truth. But power understands that this void is not empty space. It is a strategic vacuum. Your silence does not confirm their narrative. It starves it of oxygen. It forces the accuser to scream louder, to become more shrill, to escalate their attacks against a wall of perfect composure. Your refusal to engage creates a profound asymmetry. Their frantic energy is contrasted with your stillness. Their emotional chaos is highlighted by your detached control. The audience's attention, which is always drawn to the point of highest tension, shifts from the content of the accusation to the character of the accuser. They begin to look unhinged. You begin to look untouchable. The weak actor is psychologically oriented toward the battlefield. Their thoughts, their emotions, their very identity are entangled with the chaos of the feed. The powerful actor is psychologically oriented toward the citadel. Their energy is not wasted on defense, debate, or clarification. It is invested entirely in construction. They are too busy laying stones to notice the graffiti being scrawled outside the walls. This is not a tactic you deploy. It is an identity you inhabit. You must cure the underlying disease, not just manage its symptoms. You must repatriate your sense of self, pulling it back from the chaos of the battlefield and refortifying it within the sovereign walls of your own work, your own mind, your own unshakable signal. The price for this weakness is not merely a lost argument or a damaged reputation. The price is the permanent forgery of a digital leash. By reacting, you do not just reveal a weakness, you hand your enemies the manual for your own psychological manipulation. Every time you are provoked into correcting a detail, you teach them that your focus can be diverted by trivialities. Every time you are baited into a good faith debate, you teach them that your energy can be drained by performing reason for an unreasonable audience. And every time you are goaded into publishing receipts, you teach them that with enough pressure, you will tear down your own citadel just to prove a point. You have given them the playbook. They now know exactly which buttons to press, which levers to pull. Your emotional responses are no longer your own. They are a predictable output they can trigger at will. This leash, once forged, will be pulled by every opportunist who scrolls past. The second cost is the surrender of your narrative clock. Before you engage, you operate on your own time. You build, you create, you broadcast according to your own agenda. The moment you respond to an attack, you have synchronized your clock to theirs. Your agenda is now set by their provocations. Their timeline of outrage dictates your timeline of response. You cease to be the creator setting the pace. You become the reactor, perpetually one step behind, trying to put out the fires they set. Your entire creative and strategic output becomes defensive, reactive, and defined by a narrative you did not write. You are no longer building your future. You are endlessly litigating their version of your past. Finally, the most devastating cost is the loss of sovereign gravity. A powerful online presence has a gravitational field. It pulls opportunities, respect, and attention into its orbit through the sheer mass of its value and composure. When you descend to the battlefield to fight in the mud, you forfeit this gravity. You do not elevate the conversation. You are pulled down to its level. You prove you are not a fixed star but a stray asteroid, easily knocked off course by any random collision. The powerful watch this display and see not a fighter, but an unstable asset. The mob sees not a leader, but entertainment. You have traded the immense, silent power of sovereign gravity for the fleeting, noisy spectacle of a fistfight, and in doing so, you have broadcast to the entire world that your orbit is for sale to the lowest bidder. The antidote to this poison is not a cleverer defense. It is the abolition of defense itself. You must replace the instinct to react with the discipline of construction. The weak actor sees an attack and asks, "How do I fight this?" The powerful actor sees an attack and asks, "What will I build next?" This shift in orientation is the beginning of true sovereign power. It is the decision to stop being a gladiator on their battlefield and to become, exclusively and permanently, the architect of your citadel. The first maneuver, the foundation of this entire strategy, is the architecture of silence. This is not the passive, fearful silence of the guilty. It is a calculated, active, and profoundly intimidating silence. It is a silence that is not empty, but is instead filled with the sound of your own work. When the digital arsonist arrives with their torch, you do not rush out with a bucket of water. You are inside your stone fortress, calmly laying another perfectly cut block onto the wall. Your public response to their accusation is the announcement of your next project. Your answer to their demand for an explanation is the release of your next piece of work. Your rebuttal to their character assassination is the continuation of your mission. This is not ignoring them. It is making them irrelevant. It is a broadcast of supreme confidence. It tells the world, and more importantly, it tells your own mind, that this attack is not a significant event. It is background noise, a minor distraction from the real work of building your empire. This maneuver forces a critical inversion. The attacker expects to become the center of your world. They have prepared for a fight. When you give them nothing but the echo of your own productivity, their position becomes absurd. They are screaming at a wall that is visibly growing stronger. Their frantic energy is not met with resistance. It is met with the calm, steady rhythm of your hammer-striking stone. This contrast makes them look small, desperate, and obsessed. Your silence, filled with your work, is not an admission of guilt. It is a declaration of status. You are demonstrating that your time is an asset too valuable to be spent on their liability. The second maneuver is signal amplification. Once you have established the discipline of silence, You can weaponize your own narrative. The battlefield is governed by the algorithm, and the algorithm is a mindless beast that craves only one thing: fresh stimulus. The attacker provides a stimulus of chaos and accusation. You must provide a stimulus that is stronger, clearer, and more valuable. You do not counter their signal, you overwhelm it. Imagine a critic launches a multi-threaded attack on your past, digging up old mistakes and framing them in the worst possible light. The weak actor is immediately pulled into that frame, debating the context of events from 5 years ago. They are fighting on the battlefield of the past. The powerful actor lets the attack hang in the air for a moment, and then deploys a massive high-value signal on their own citadel. They publish a brilliant essay that defines the future of their industry. They release a stunning portfolio of their latest creations. They announce a partnership that shocks the market. See the dynamic. You have refused to engage on their chosen ground, the petty archaeology of your past. Instead, you have made the present and the future so compelling that their narrative becomes instantly obsolete. The audience, which includes your allies, your enemies, and the undecided majority, is forced to choose where to place their attention. Do they want to sift through the mud of a 5-year-old controversy, or do they want to engage with a powerful, forward-looking idea that offers them value? You have not argued with the critic. You have simply made them boring. You have used your own output as a strategic tool to hijack the news cycle of your own life, rendering the attack a forgotten footnote before it ever gained traction. You have demonstrated that your narrative clock runs on your schedule, and you will not allow it to be synchronized with the outrage of lesser players. The third and most advanced maneuver is the accuser's gambit. This is the art of allowing your enemy to destroy themselves. It requires supreme composure and a deep understanding of audience psychology. This maneuver is deployed when an attack is not just false, but transparently malicious and unhinged. Your only role in this gambit is to provide the canvas of your composure upon which the attacker will paint their own self-portrait of insanity. You execute the architecture of silence. You continue with signal amplification. You do your work. You build. You broadcast. The attacker, receiving no response, is starved of the reaction they need. Their accusations were designed to create a feedback loop of drama. Your silence breaks that loop. Now they must escalate. Their language becomes more shrill. Their claims become more grandiose. They begin attacking not just you, but anyone who does not join their crusade. They spam every mention. They flood every channel. They are no longer an accuser. They are a fanatic. And here the audience's perception performs a quiet, decisive shift. The initial question, is this accusation true, is replaced by a new, more interesting one. Why is this person so obsessed? Your continued dignified silence creates a profound asymmetry. On one side, there is you, calm, productive, sovereign, focused on your mission. On the other side, there is them, chaotic, repetitive, increasingly emotional, and singularly focused on you. You have not defended yourself. You have not explained yourself. You have not published a single receipt, and yet you have won. You have turned their aggression into a public spectacle of their own weakness. The narrative is no longer about your alleged crime. It is about their undeniable instability. They came to put you on trial, but by refusing to take the stand, you have maneuvered them into the dock. They are now the ones who look guilty, not of a specific crime, but of a desperate and pathetic need for your attention. You have turned their venom into a testament to your own untouchable status. These are not three separate tactics. They are a unified system of power, a philosophy of strategic action, silence, signal, and sovereignty. You master silence to starve them of oxygen. You amplify your signal to make them irrelevant, and you use your sovereignty to let them collapse under the weight of their own obsession. You do not descend to the battlefield to fight. You remain in the citadel, and from its walls, you orchestrate the conditions of their defeat, all while your hands are busy with the noble work of construction. Mastering silence and signal makes you resilient, but resilience is a defensive posture. It is the quality of an object that can withstand a blow. The highest level of power is not to withstand the blow, but to harness its energy. You do not want to be the wall that stands firm. You want to be the turbine that converts the storm's fury into your own light. This is the shift from defense to offense, It is the art of using their battlefield not as a threat to be managed, but as a quarry from which you will mine the resources to expand your citadel. The first offensive maneuver is narrative absorption. Where signal amplification was about creating a competing narrative, this is about consuming theirs. You take the very subject of their attack and you transmute it from a liability into an asset. An attacker tries to expose a past failure, calling you a fraud. The reactor defends. The sovereign ignores. The warrior architect absorbs. You do not argue the details of the failure. You immediately publish a masterwork on the lessons learned from that failure. You create the definitive case study on what that experience teaches. You seize the topic they have put on the table, and you become its absolute authority. See the inversion. They intended to use your past to define you. Instead, you use their energy to fuel your intellectual authority on that very past. They wanted to make you a defendant. You have become a professor, and their accusation was merely the introduction to your lecture. You have taken the poison they offered, distilled it, and sold it back as medicine. Their attack is no longer their story about you. It is a footnote in your story about your own evolution. The second, more potent maneuver is the gravity well. This is how you use the force of an attack to consolidate your own tribe. A mob descends, accusing you of holding a view that is unpopular, controversial, or extreme. To respond is to validate the mob as your jury. To ignore them is effective, but passive. The offensive move is to use their outrage as a filter. As they attack you publicly, you create a new, more exclusive space. You announce a private group, a subscriber-only newsletter, or a members-only forum dedicated to the serious discussion of these forbidden ideas. The attack from the mob is now the greatest marketing campaign you could ever design. Their public rage becomes the velvet rope. It signals to your true audience that you are the one unafraid to lead. The people who quietly agree with you, who are tired of the mob's tyranny, now see a beacon. They see a place where they can find refuge and community. The enemy's chaotic energy has not scattered your supporters. It has herded them directly into your new, fortified inner sanctum. You have used their hatred to identify, segment, and galvanize your most loyal followers, transforming the vague cloud of your audience into a disciplined army. They came to burn your citadel, and you used their torches to light the way for the builders. These offensive maneuvers, narrative absorption, the gravity well, are the weapons of a master. But a weapon is useless, even dangerous, in the hands of one who has not mastered himself. The most brilliant strategy will shatter if it is executed by a mind that is still a slave to its own impulses. The final stage of your transformation is therefore not tactical, but existential. You must stop designing better plays for the battlefield and start re-architecting the mind that perceives the battlefield in the first place. You must turn from the enemy without to the traitor within. The true work is the forging of an internal server. Most minds operate on a cloud-based model of self. Their identity, their mood, their sense of worth are hosted externally on the volatile servers of public opinion. They are constantly pinging the network, checking notifications, seeking validation, downloading the consensus to know how to feel. This architecture is fatally vulnerable. A single malicious comment, a downturn in engagement, a negative news cycle, these are not just data points. They are server attacks that can crash your entire operating system. The sovereign mind, in contrast, runs on a closed internal server. Its core code of identity, mission, and value is written by you, stored by you, and firewalled from the chaos of the network. This requires the cultivation of two specific disciplines. First, the discipline of the feed. Your attention is your most precious resource, and you have been trained to offer it freely to an algorithm designed to monetize your anxiety. You must reclaim it with ruthless intent. This is not a matter of willpower. It is a matter of environmental design and ritual. You do not try to ignore your mentions. You architect your digital life so that they exist in a separate, quarantined reality. You set aside one specific, limited time to review the battlefield, as a general would review intelligence reports, coldly, analytically, for signal only. The rest of your time, your default state, is focused entirely on the citadel. The infinite scroll is the enemy's territory. Your project timeline is yours. You must make it a physical and psychological impossibility to confuse the two. Second, and more profoundly, is the discipline of emotional interpretation. When a digital attack provokes a flash of anger, defensiveness, or shame, you have been trained to see this as a legitimate response to an external event. This is wrong. That feeling is not a signal from the outside world. It is a diagnostic report from your own internal server. It is a blinking red light indicating a vulnerability in your own code. The anger tells you where your ego is still fragile. The defensiveness shows you what you secretly believe is true about yourself. The shame points to the part of your identity you have outsourced to the approval of others. You do not react to the feeling. You analyze it. You thank the attacker, silently, for providing free quality assurance on your soul. You locate the bug in your own system, the insecure attachment, the unexamined vanity, and you patch it. You do not get angry, you get stronger. Through these disciplines, the untouchable persona ceases to be a performance. It becomes a simple reflection of your inner state. You are not pretending to be unbothered by the noise. You have simply stopped granting it the status of signal. You have repatriated your sense of self from the chaotic cloud and secured it on the cold, hard steel of your own sovereign mind. This entire system is not a set of rules for winning online arguments. It is a blueprint for making them obsolete. The ultimate goal is not to become a better debater on the battlefield, but to achieve a state where the battlefield itself ceases to be a meaningful reality to you. This is the final re-engineering of the self. You must make the existential shift from user to architect. The user is a ghost in the machine. Their reality is the feed. Their identity is a reflection of their notifications. Their emotional state is a subscription service managed by the algorithm. They believe they are participating in a conversation, when in fact they are the product being consumed. Their energy is the raw material, and their outrage is the engine of the platform's profit. The user believes their digital life is about being seen, heard, and validated. The architect understands that the platform is merely raw material, a quarry of stone and a conduit for their signal, nothing more. The architect's reality is the citadel. Their identity is their body of work. Their emotional state is generated internally by their commitment to their mission. They are not here to be validated, they are here to build. They do not seek to be part of the conversation. They seek to become the landscape in which all future conversations must take place. Let go of the primitive belief that truth wins. In the digital realm, truth is not a static fact to be revealed. It is a dynamic reality to be constructed. The verdict you seek will not be found in the comment section. There is no jury, only an audience. There is no justice, only engagement. To present evidence to the mob is to stage a trial for the entertainment of inmates who are also the guards. The final state you are working toward is narrative sovereignty. This is a condition where your own signal, the accumulated mass of your work, your consistency, your sovereign composure, is so powerful it creates its own physics. An attack is no longer an attack. It is simply a foreign object entering your gravitational field. It is not disproven or debated. It is defined, classified, and either incinerated by the heat of your mission or pulled into orbit as another satellite testifying to your mass. You do not win the argument, you transcend it. Your continued construction is the only rebuttal. Your silence is the final word. This is the new worldview. The citadel does not debate the storm. It simply stands. And in its profound and silent shadow, your empire grows.